Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. It's the aftermath. The 2023 preseason is in the books. Patriots 23-7 losers to the Tennessee Titans. Alongside is the Senator Phil Perry. Phil, there's absolutely nothing we saw on the field on Friday night that we didn't expect to see, although there's a level of disappointment that the product was that really tough to watch on offense.
Yeah, and I would say I was surprised by how Bailey Zappe played. Do you feel the same way that I do? Because when I see the ball on the ground 3 times, Tom, and then getting chewed out by his offensive coordinator, which surprised me because I think a lot of the times where we've seen him struggle this summer, I've kind of chalked it up to, well, look who's blocking for him. Well, look who he's throwing to. But after having watched back some of the throws that he made tonight, I kind of understood Bill O'Brien's ire. And I don't know
last week.
I don't know if it was in that moment that the broadcast caught where Zappe's getting an earful from O'Brien. I don't know why, right? He had just missed a throw to Malik Cunningham. The broadcast was actually saying it was a bad route by Cunningham. But there were a handful of throws, Tom, where he had time, he had space, he makes the throw, it's inaccurate, and the decision-making slow. I just thought there was a lot of not so good from Bailey Zappe tonight, which did surprise me.
I'm not surprised that we saw not so good from Bailey Zappe because it's been an ongoing summer story. He's been a C- performer in practices and in games. Tack this one on, now I'm down to a D+ for the kid. And relative to what I expected to see from an accurate, smart, leadership-laden quarterback going into his second year where you're supposed to make the jump, I'm giving him a D- on the curve. He should be a much better player right now. And we have spent a lot of time, whether it be at practices or in these preseason games, a lot of us saying, well, shit, we can't tell. Is he getting any time? Is there anybody open? But we've also said that when we watch his back foot hit and we see indecisiveness. We've also said that when we watch him throw not outs, but screens with bizarre arm angles. And it's just not been a tight performance from him this year. There's indecisiveness. And I'm not surprised that Bill O'Brien yelled at him because he's been deserving of questioning. Last week, he threw into triple freaking coverage to Trey Nixon. Trey Nixon ends up injured. He threw one very good pass. I'm not even going to say very good because Kayshon Boutte caught it at his ear hole, not here. Still took it to the house. His only good throw tonight was on an identical route. Can't remember which player caught it, but it was a terrific throw. When he gets his back foot down and rips it, it's perfect. But on the play before he got yelled at, he tried to hit that slant, and it was absolutely blanketed. So I can't tell if it's Bailey Zappe's fault, and I think he has to own a portion of it, or if it's the lack of protection that's got him jumpy, because we allowed that to be an excuse for Mac Jones last year. So I'm not going to retroactively not apply it to what Bailey Zappe's doing. But I have a creeping concern about the gap between starter and backup. And I mentioned it before, and now it's a full-on worry. I don't think he's a good enough player to be a backup quarterback for a playoff aspirant at this juncture.
And I don't know what you do. If you do feel that way, and Bill Belichick maybe feels that way, and I don't know if he does, but if he does,
that's what Bill is thinking when he thinks about Mac getting hurt.
Okay. Sorry, John. Leave that in, please.
What do you mean he's hurt?
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do because
are we overblowing it just because we have to say something? Or, I mean, it's bad. It can't be that bad. And you just say, they'll figure it out.
Well, listen, there's so many layers to this, right? Number one, you want to have somebody competent who can step in and win you a game if you need to ask him to do that. And that's the kind of backup quarterback he should be.
Yes.
This isn't Jordan Love 3 years ago. This isn't Trey Lance now. This isn't somebody you grow and you develop. Jimmy Garoppolo is his rookie year in 2014. Those are developmental guys that you're hoping are starters down the road. That's not Bailey Zappe. Bailey Zappe's supposed to be in sort of the Case Keenum mold of a backup quarterback, just much younger.
Who's the dude I'm thinking of with Washington last year? It's a kid's name.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean,
No,
I don't know. Alex Smith.
No, the starter, the kid who just got beaten out.
Kirk Cousins. Sam Howell just beat out the backup.
He was the starter last year.
Last name begins with an H.
Yeah, Tyler Heineke.
Heineke. Thank you.
So
former Patriot, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of classification. Gardner Minshew, Tyler Heineke. That's the arc I see for a player like Bailey Zappe. Never going to be a long-term starter. Never going to get a $30 million contract. Might not get a $10 million contract. He should be Brian Hoyer-esque. Right? So you're exactly right. If you're going to have a backup, to have a developmental guy as your backup, as opposed to a 10-2 Tyler Heineke, Gardner Minshew type, he better be able to execute. It's such a great point of what flavor backup do you have? And the Patriots have not only one who can't put it at 10-2 right now, but he's also not electric enough to put in there and say, oh, wait, you see this guy.
Right. Or 3 years from now, you say, then we're going to have our franchise guy. And we're going to have multiple options, and we're going to be able to, whether we want him or not, maybe we trade him, but he's going to be so unbelievable in preseason that we're going to have trade offers coming out our ears. That's not who he is. And that's why the fumbles bother me the most tonight. But I thought the inaccuracy was an issue. I mean, the first throw of the game, I think it was for him to Matt Sokol, was high and wide, and it hit his hands. And so maybe you'd say that guy's an NFL player, he should catch that. But boy, he had a throwing lane. He had time to throw, and he missed him. The Bill O'Brien interaction intrigues me further, though, because I actually kind of agreed with the broadcast. I didn't think it was a great route by Cunningham. I did think that he rounded it off, which is how Zolak described it. So then why was Bill O'Brien so miffed? Was it just a bad decision? Was there somewhere else he should have gone with the football, which to me is almost a bigger issue, because now you've got decision-making, accuracy, and fumble problems all in the same game, Tom.
To me, when you look at that route, and for the folks who would deign to do this, God bless you, roll it back, take a look at the route when they show the replay. It is rounded. It's probably supposed to be flatter, but even if it is flatter, the ball is still a foot or two over his head and way outside. Even if he brought it back on a more flat trajectory, maybe he was supposed to get to the sideline faster. It was too high. It was wobbly. It was a shit throw. And he's had too many of them. There's another downfield throw, I believe, was to Malik Cunningham, which was poor. He had another buddy, hospital ball to Malik Cunningham that got him demolished. It's not good. And for a team with a shaky offensive line, which we're going to get to in a second, to understand that shaky offensive line in front of a pocket passer is all that stands between Mac Jones and slowly regressing Bailey Zappe is a little bit scary in a season that we've all announced is absolutely critical for the Patriots franchise in terms of charting their course for the rest of the decade. Good point, Tom.
I felt another cough coming on there. I just wanted to just kind of take it easy for a second.
Let's leave all that in, John.
Tap my helmet. When you tap your helmet to come out.
Did you tap?
Yeah. I don't know if I did. That's on me. Miscommunication.
Speaking of helmet tapping, Phil, and for those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, go ahead. Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. You can find that on YouTube as well as the audio version. I hope you're enjoying it. But some of the gesticulations by the senator right now are absolutely absurd. There was a chest pounding during a coughing fit that was worth every penny you'll spend when you go to YouTube. He's got it on mute again. He's coughing. Speaking of tapping your helmet needing to come out, we saw that happen with Riley Reiff. Took his helmet off before the play was even concluded. Well, immediately when the play concluded. In the first half, when he was rolled upon by a teammate, it didn't look good. The foot was planted. The helmet came off of the veteran. Him being a longtime offensive lineman, gladiatorial spirit kicked in and he walked off the field. By the time he got to the sideline, the limp was more pronounced. We saw Riley Reiff, free agent acquisition, limp his way to the locker room. And Phil, we're not talking about the Patriots losing Leon Gray or John Hanna here, but it's a little bit damaging in that he's supposed to be a versatile veteran who Bill Belichick praised to the heavens this week.
Right. And he was in line to potentially start for you, either at right guard if Mike Onwenu can't get back, or at right tackle if Mike Onwenu does get back and they decide they'd rather have the veteran as opposed to the 4th-round rookie City So protecting on the edge. I would say at the very least, Tom, he was your 6th guy. He was sort of trending toward, okay, if Cole Strange and Mike Onwenu and City So are all part of your starting lineup, then he's probably your swing. Maybe he's a swing guard. Maybe you could put him in tackle in a pinch because that's where the vast majority of his experience is. Either way, this guy's been given $4 million guaranteed. He's expected to have a role in your team. He has a lot of experience, and he was healthy. It was like the one thing that was going for him this summer. And now he's not. And so now they've got another injury to deal with. And now you've got to have another layer that gets bumped up on the depth chart. And I don't know what that even means because we're so deep into that thing. I don't know how this gets shaken out unless you get your regulars back for week 1.
The Patriots have, in the past 3 seasons, gone a combined 4-8 in the first 4 games combined. So they basically start 1-3 every year. 1.3 and 3.3. Whatever the math is, Phil, stop with the faces. The point being, if the Patriots continue to ease themselves into the pool the way they have been really over the last couple of years, with 2022 being we'll figure it out. Well, don't worry. What do you think? We're going to stink? You think we're not going to have a play caller? Stop sweating it. Or this year, with so many players not competing in the preseason, or in an offensive line that is still ridiculously in flux. I mean, look at this offensive line. I mentioned it, a week or 2 ago on social media. And as it happens, people are looking for any place to throw a dart at you in social media. And I said, this Patriots team right now is really doesn't have a lot of answers in terms of developing players on their offensive line. Well, that's what the preseason's for. No, there's a lot of teams out there who know who their 5 is. The Patriots don't know who their 5 is. They don't know who their 7 is. And to me, it's, again, we're in a situation where last year was the offensive coordinator. This year it's with new offensive line coach Adrian Clem. It'll sort itself out. We saw this in 2014 with Jordan Devey at right guard. We've seen it so many times where Tom Brady was stuck out there behind an offensive line that was porous. Hey, what's the worst that can happen? Well, you're going to start 1-3. The downside to starting 1-3 is they're even worse the last 4 years since 2019 at the end of the year than they are at the beginning. So they spend the middle part of the season getting fat on Sam Ehlinger and Zach Wilson and flavor of the week, Mitch Trubisky or whoever else. And the bookends suck. Phil, your turn.
How dare you, first of all, disparage Jacoby Brissett in that way, who they beat when he was quarterback in the Cleveland Browns.
Well, he had an early pick, and that set the thing rolling
That's
downhill.
true. That was a bad throw.
And Dan Campbell decided he was going to go for it on every single 4th down, and he got his stuff stuffed in.
Yeah, they took down the legend Jared Goff. It's convenient.
The phony assassin.
Convenient that you'd leave that out. That's all I'm saying. No, you're right. And this is I think this is the story of camp for the Patriots. It's about the offensive line. After Bill O'Brien's here and he has changed the offense, right? The offensive line, it has to be at or very close to the top of the list of discussion points for Bill Belichick on a daily basis. Where are we with this guy? Where are we with that guy? What's the timeline here? What's the timeline there? Who looked good in practice yesterday, Adrian? Is it Antonio Mafi or is it Chase and Hines? And my God, that is a mind-blowing conversation to have going into week 1, where you're about to face the Philadelphia Eagles, who have one of the best pass rush units in football. And you're maybe considering, again, I don't know what the timelines are on these guys, but from afar, it looks like, Tom, they might be playing Antonio Mafi or Chasen Hines as their starting left guard if Cole Strange can't get back in time for week 1 against Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter And Nolan Smith on a loop. You got a 5th round rookie and a 6th round second-year player that will have potentially a really important job protecting Mac Jones. And that's not the only
City South could be on the right.
That's right. So, and also, Tom, it just limits. I just wrote a story about this. It was the lead to my mailbag because I asked both Mac Jones and David Andrews about the importance of cohesion and what it allows you to do schematically when you have that on the offensive line. Because I know for a fact they were limited last year in what they could do. They were limited in a number of capacities last year offensively. We know that. But they were certainly limited because they had a rookie starter on their offensive line. And there was only so much they felt like they could throw at Cole Strange, especially in real time at the line of scrimmage. We need to change a play. They wanted to narrow their options for him. Well, what happens if you have Antonio Mafi and City So starting on your right? It's not just one rookie. And it's not a 1st round rookie. It's a 5th round rookie and a 4th round rookie. And the 4th round rookie hasn't even played tackle since 2018, by the way. And I like him. I think he might be a good player. It's just not where you want to be.
We haven't even really plumbed the logistics of this. So when did Mike Onwenu get hurt? And
so he had ankle surgery.
Right. But again, did they know that at the end of last season? Did he get hurt in March, April, May, and then have the surgery? Because if they knew about it in February or March and still kind of said, you know what, we don't really do much with the offensive line, and when it will be back, what are we worried about? There was no bus crash that wiped out a whole bunch of players along the offensive line, resulting in City So, Antonio Mafi, Andrew Stuber, and Chasen Hines being in the spotlight. They were all a heartbeat away from significant time already. That vast number of young developmental players under a first-year offensive line coach with your program were the first line of defense behind a guy who had a surgery, which you may or may not know about, and Cole Strange, which, injury is an injury. You didn't know Calvin Anderson was going to be hurt, but again, we're not talking about Anthony Munoz there either, I'm presuming. So it's just poor planning that's going to leverage the ability of the offensive coordinator who you had to get in here in the mind of Robert Kraft and the quarterback who's still on a rookie contract making $3 million when an average guy like Mac in a couple of years is probably going to be commanding 25. Like it or not, that's what he's going to be making someplace. 25 or more in the NFL in 2025. Mark it down. So, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's no friggin' urgency. The lack of urgency shown by Bill is mesmerizing, considering how on the details he is and how urgent he becomes as the season goes on. We talk to folks inside the organization. When the shit starts hitting the fan, how's it go? Same way it's always gone. Meeting upon full night upon all-nighter upon all-nighter. Yet they're doing that because they didn't do shit in the offseason to prepare for the poop hitting the fan in September and October. Phil, your turn.
Can I play devil's advocate? Because, I mean, clearly it's a bad situation that they find themselves in along the offensive line. I would have and have in the past. I think made the argument that at some point you got to invest, especially at that tackle position. But if Bill Belichick were on the Zoom with us right now, wouldn't he say, Tom, I signed 2 tackles in free agency. I didn't pool all my money together to get one because I wanted I wanted depth because I know injuries happen. So we got, instead of getting Caleb McGarry, we got Reef and we got Anderson, and Anderson got sick and I can't do anything about that. Then Cole Strange gets hurt and Mike Onwenu has surgery, but we drafted 3 guards. We drafted 3 guards.
You're right. It's fair. And I would say, Bill, Riley Reef is 1,000. Did your pro personnel people say that he was going to be good to go? And fine, Calvin Anderson, I get it. You can't control a guy getting sick. But you have special teamers between Joe Cardona and your kickers and your punters and your gunners, and you're probably spending $12 billion on the 9 special team specialists you have. That's a couple of good players on the perimeters of your offensive line. It's not Duncan Hines. It's not Andrew Studebaker. Okay? You go get the good ones. You go get, what's the kid's name from Jacksonville, Phil? Jawan
Taylor, who went to Kansas City.
It's late, folks. Although I did just try to, I say it's late. I just was on the post-game live show asking the TV audience whether or not, can Malik Cunningham refuse to go to a team and just stay on the Patriots practice squad?
That was great. We never addressed that on the show.
I know. I'm yelling across the studio live. Phil, he can't refuse to go, can he?
No, he can't. Just to answer the question, no. Well, if you get claimed on waivers, you're claimed. You got to go. You got to go.
Covering the league since '97, folks. Unprecedented move for New England. Malik Cunningham wearing a hell no, I won't go. I'd rather make $311. I'd rather make $1,600 on the practice squad here, thanks, instead of the $316,000 minimum. Idiot fucking proposal.
It does happen sometimes where they get a guy to stay on the practice squad as opposed to signing a free agent contract and having a 53-man spot somewhere else, but they give him a pay raise. They pay him like he's on the 53, but they keep him on the practice squad.
Okay, I guess that's what I was thinking of.
That does happen sometimes.
That's okay. A guy who gets enticed by another team saying you want to come off our practice squad.
Right.
But you have to be on the practice squad.
We want you off Bill's practice squad. Come be on our roster.
Yes.
And the guy will say, no, you know what? Actually, it's a good situation for me. I spent a lot of time with these guys. They like me a lot. I'm going to stay here.
Way better. Now that's a guy deciding to be on a practice squad. Hey, football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time that team wins in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. You can use bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/NSBO and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/NSBO.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hope is here. GamblingHelplineMA.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support, Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. 21 plus and present in select states. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, or Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit www.mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit www.1800gambler.net in West Virginia.
I do want to kind of get into something optimistic here. And I don't think the people really want to talk about Sam Roberts. I don't know if they really want to talk about Calvin Munson.
What?
It's player 48. But I do wonder if they want to
That might be generous.
I do want to see if they want to talk about J.J. Taylor. Because I think he's got relevance. And you can pass him through waivers and put him on your practice squad. We also need to talk about Malik Cunningham. If you were Bill Belichick and Matt Groh, and you were using your right mind, would you release Malik Cunningham, presuming you can still get him to waivers, considering he was an undrafted player, and every team in the league has needs and a roster picked out? So they're not going to want to spend a roster spot because if Malik gets waived, he has to go on an active roster. Would you take that risk?
Yes.
I think I would too.
I think he gets through. I thought that going into this game after having conversations with a few folks over the course of the week, and nothing happened in this game to make me think that, oh boy, he was so electric that if you were to waive him now, there's no way he gets through waivers. I don't see that after tonight's performance. I was thinking that was a possibility going into the game, Tom. If they had given him the whole second half and just let him play quarterback, I don't know, maybe he would have made a few plays. Maybe he makes 3 or 4 throws like the one he made to Trey Nixon in the back of the end zone that Nixon dropped in that preseason opener, and he gives you some running stuff as well. And there's a team out there that says, you know what, we've got like 35 guys that we like. What are we doing not picking this kid up? He had he looks impressive. Let's do it. Let's roll the dice.
They had to outbid somebody with the most lucrative practice squad contract ever.
True.
So they had to know somebody was out there looking at him.
But I do think you could get him through.
I do too. I do think he has 2023 relevance too. I do think that he is a good enough runner that you can put him out there and he can get you 4 on 2nd and 2. Might get you 44 on 2nd and 2. How do you like that? How do you like that? Also, how do you like Kayshon Boutte?
Boy, 3 snaps, I think it was at the end of the night for Kayshon Boutte. That surprised me. I thought going into the game that he had a spot on the roster, mostly because of the injury situation they're dealing with right now. Pop Douglas is banged up. Tyquan Thornton's banged up. But also because he's been really consistent, in my opinion, Tom, over the course of the last 3 weeks or so. This isn't a recent thing. This isn't a 1 week thing where Pop got hurt and now Kayshon Boutte stepped up. No, he's been making plays almost every day for the last 3 weeks is how I would term it. So 3 snaps in the preseason finale, that feels like a good sign for his employment potential moving forward, right?
I wonder if Tyquan Thornton was healthy, if Tyquan Thornton would have played more than 3 snaps. I bet he would have.
Just to get him more work?
Just because he's not as good as Kayshon Boutte, and the Patriots they're not going to just shrug and say, that's no biggie. Like the thing with Bailey Zappe. I'm not surprised O'Brien bitched at him. The level of play is not good enough. And the fact that the cameras caught it, we've been saying it since we've been sitting on the hill at Foxborough, Phil. What is he doing? Why is he taking so long to get rid of the ball? And we chalk it up to breakdowns, or we chalk it up to it being red zone, or we chalk it up to him being short. We chalk it up to people not getting open. And I'm not starting to. I have been more seriously saying it might be operator.
Well, you know what's interesting now that we're talking this through? And it's not the first time that we've said it. It feels like he's taking a long time to make decisions. There's been a lot of dancing in the pocket. And some of that might be, well, nobody's open. What do you want me to do? I got to try to extend the play and make something happen. I will allow for that. But maybe one thing that I have underrated as far as Bailey Zappe's summer goes is the fact that he is now in a truly complex pro-style offense.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't last year. We know that was rudimentary to a fault, correct?
That was the goal. Yeah, that's a great point to make because that's what the Patriots and Kendrick Bourne talked about last spring. We're going to make it easier.
And then in college, he was, it does it a disservice to call it a pure air raid system that he was used to, but it was a very college-y offense. So he goes from spread it out, chuck it all over the lot, to Matt Patricia's whatever he's cooked up, to now the Bill O'Brien Frankenstein offense, which is, bits and pieces from college and the NFL and Houston and New England and vast library of plays and concepts. And for Mac Jones, the transition's not as bad because he played for Josh McDaniels. But for Bailey Zappe, he's never seen anything like this. And maybe that's what we're seeing right now is the growing pains associated with that.
And you stay with it if it's just growing pains. You absolutely stick with it. And it's funny because during the Green Bay, now that you're mentioning it, I'm talking about the number of times that he's scurrying when they were running 2 minute. And he did conclude that 2 minute drive with a nice throw down the middle to Malik Cunningham and then a nice little dig route inside the pylon to Kayshon Boutte. But he had about 3 throwaways on the first 5 snaps of the drive, which was like, what are you doing? He's hitting the friggin' building with the things. No shot at even running the play. Let's put a cork in Bailey for now and talk briefly about J.J. Taylor and Jack Jones, a couple JJs. To the good, J.J. Taylor. He's relevant. I do think he's relevant.
What'd you think of that punt return tonight? Do you think that?
No, God, Jesus, I blocked that out. I forgot about that. Oh, everything he was doing to try and convince me that he had to be on the team just in one fell swoop.
Do you think that did him in? Do you think that does him in for Bill?
I think it pisses Bill off a lot. See, that's the kind of thing when you're a borderline guy making smart plays on a religious basis and just not screwing anything up. That's like showing up for the test, not without a pencil. It's showing up for a test without your pants on. You can't even get in the room. What are you doing?
It was bad. It was bad.
Go home. So, all right, screw JJ Taylor. He can't be a good guy either because of that play. But I do like the way he operates.
Well, he could be a good guy. He could be
he's a good guy.
Yeah,
no,
right.
he's not a good guy to talk about in terms of I'm trying to put a buff and shine on things.
I see.
Let's stay negative and go with Jack Jones.
I mean, they did have like 24 passing yards and 79 yards of total offense. It's just hard to find anything on that side of the ball worth praising tonight.
They had a horrible first preseason game offensively and a horrible third preseason game offensively. And in two joint practices, the only two joint practices they held, they looked like absolute ass in the first one. And then they looked like the Joe Montana 49ers in the second one. So a very small portion of their preseason and training camp of competitive public play looked good. I'm worried.
But you're not the only one. Bill Belichick, I think Bill Belichick's telling you that he's concerned by not playing these guys. They could use the reps. But he's seen this offensive line and he's saying, nope, not with that group. Nope. We're not running the regulars out there. So Bailey and friends can figure this thing out tonight.
Jack Jones didn't have a great night, but he's certainly far from having any kind of situation where he's not going to be on the football team. Make sure you let everybody know that, Phil. Right?
So, yes, I mean, the guy's got, I know you know this, but he's got a few question marks lingering off the field that could take him off the football team. So I don't feel as confident as you do in sharing that sentiment. But here's my explanation for all the playing time we saw for Jack Jones. He played the entire first half, unusual for a guy that we would perceive as a starting level player. My guess is it's because the Patriots are anticipating that he's going to miss some time at some point this season, whether it's to start the season, mid-season, or what have you. In 2014, they knew Brandon Browner was going to be suspended the first 4 games of the season. I believe it was a performance-enhancing drug suspension that Browner was dealing with. They played him a lot in the preseason because they knew they were about to say goodbye to him for a month, not only in terms of gameplay, but practice play, couldn't be in the facility. So if they're thinking something like this might happen with Jack Jones, and who knows, maybe there's some back channel discussions, Tom, Bill hears from the league, hey, Bill, we're going to let the legal process play out here, but you got to understand, like, this guy's going to have to miss some time.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick, whether he had those conversations or not, is understanding this is a possibility. Let's get him as many reps as possible now while they're available to us, and then we'll deal with the missed time when we deal with the missed time. That's my guess.
Seems reasonable. I mean, it makes logical sense.
How do you think he played?
Disappointingly.
Yeah.
Maybe a little unfocused. I mean, those comeback passes, you get called on a pass interference on an underthrown ball. That could happen to anybody.
Yep.
Did not get his head around. So, I mean, maybe that doesn't happen to the top tier cornerbacks. They get into a position where they're feeling for the wall and then spinning their head when they see the guy slow down. And we didn't see Jack Jones really read that receiver the way, okay, the guy's slowed down. He's starting to jump. You better start boxing out. So at least you're not staring at him when the ball comes in. And then there was a long completion downfield in a one-on-one situation on kind of what I guess we call it an over route or a sail route, whatever the hell it was. He was a step behind, guy caught it, tackled him. And he also got stiff-armed into, he got stiff-armed all the way to Pluto. There goes Phil. Jack Jones stiff-armed right off the screen. Forgot about that.
He didn't. I'll give him credit. He didn't lose his feet, but he did do like the Superman run for like a while, like where he was way head over his feet, like stumbling forward, and he somehow saved it. He didn't eat it after that, but it was close.
That's core strength right there, buddy. Big time.
Five-star athlete.
There's plenty of other stuff we can talk about, but we will be talking about it on Tuesday after the cutdowns. Patriots have cutdown day where they go from, well, Bill, how do we do the math on that again?
Well, it's the same on every team. Yeah, it's 37 guys. So it's 90 minus 37 equals 53. So that's the reality of the NFL. We all knew that when we signed up for it. So that's the tough part, but that's part of it.
So Phil and I will be back at you on Tuesday, no doubt, to go over the cuts after they happen around 4:00, and then we will double down and get after it again on Quick Slants at 6. Big week coming up. Big week. Phil will have the next Pats. Huge. And then we'll have another pod on Thursday. And by then it'll be 1 week from the season opener, which will happen September 7th. And the Patriots will play September 10th. And the Patriots will honor Tom Brady at 4:25. 4:25. So that's it.
We got any details? Do we have any details on that celebration yet? What's that thing going to look like?
I don't know. Oh, Bertie told me today that Robert Kraft is having a nice dinner at his house on Saturday. So the Bradys will be there.
Are we
Saturday.
invited?
No, I was only told that they were having that dinner. We're not invited.
Brady's invited, though.
Tom is, yeah.
Oh. Makes sense.
Gilletta +1. All right. Anyway, so we'll be back at it next week with plenty of content and love. John Henry, the Skull Crusher. We do this right after the game ends, and we do the post game. So it's 12:46 in the AM as we button this up. And poor John, we're watching the game. We're doing TV. We're pretty wound up. John is at the Palace in Leominster, and he has to say, all right, those idiots are probably coming off TV now. And he has to listen to this for 40 minutes. So, but you guys did too. So thank you.
Appreciate you.
Always.
All of you.
We really do. We do a little too much grab ass here. So for the folks who stuck around the whole time, thank you. We apologize for the grab ass. Tell your friends who also listen that we'll try and tighten it up.